After we restart our map, we're still greeted with that map is unplayable box. Close this box like before. Now that we have the nav squares, the bots can interact with the world. However, there's still a lot of work that needs to be done. First, we need to fully connect our nav mesh between the top and the bottom. When the mesh was generated, it automatically made a one-way connection. This tells the bots that they can jump down, and that it's too far for them to climb back up. However, for the purpose of this tutorial, I've already deleted that connection. You can remove the connection yourself by selecting the square at the top and bottom of the ladder and then entering nav_disconnect into the console. Now the connection between those two nav mesh squares is broken. As you can see, here's a one-way connection.
Might need these.
And it's important to stop with your top square and you select it, so toggle and selected set. And then you point to your second square, then you type in nav connect. You do not highlight the second square. And what this does is it tells the engine that the bots can jump down and that they cannot climb back up. The blue line represents a one-way connection, and it's important that you place this direction correctly the first time, or else you'll need to delete the connection. Let's add some ladders to the mix. There are a few different ways to make ladders. However, I'll show you the easiest way. This method forces you to make your ladders properly because broken ladders will not generate correctly. Before you generate the ladder, it's important to note that each side of the ladder must have a corresponding nav mesh, and if it isn't, then the ladder will not generate correctly. Here's the first square, and it will probably connect to the second square. And what you do is you look at the ladder. As you can see, it's green. That means that there is a function ladder entity here. You open up your console and type nav build ladder. And what you want to see is you want to see this blue line connect to the ladder, go up to the top of the ladder, and then connect to one of your squares. Sometimes it's important to merge and split squares in the nav mesh. Prop dynamics will not break apart meshes like the prop static entity. Let's see if I can find some stuff here. And you may have to manually carve out the squares.
Oh, Jesus!
You can see the game is still broken because it did not call the horde, and Zoe tripped it. Now let's split some squares. Now when you move your cursor around on a square, you'll see a little line. This is where the split will occur. And all you need to do is place your line, open up the console, and type in nav split. You can see now there are two squares.
Kill that light.
And sometimes you want to merge the squares back together. These squares must resemble a square or a rectangle once they're merged. This means you cannot merge this square right here with this square because it will not form a rectangle. What you do is you highlight the first square, nav, toggle in selected set. You then look at the second square you want to merge with and type in nav merge. And now the squares are merged. Let's split these back up because we'll need to. and you'll know when it's being split because it will make that knife sound. Okay, let's build the ladder for the special infected to use. Point the crosshair at the pipe and enter nav_build_ladder into the console. Let's add in some of these other elements. And should be good how it is right now. Nav attributes are important to creating a functional map. In the next section, I'll go a little more into detail about some of the various attributes. For the time being, let's see how to assign an attribute and the minimum amount of attributes that need to be placed to have a functional map. Let's go back to our basic square where the players start and select it. Have toggle and selected set. Even though this isn't needed, it's a lot easier to toggle your squares. Then you open up your console again, and you type in mark, then player start. Note that you need to have the debug mode on in order to see these attributes. So if you don't see this pink area with the player start label, go back to the console and enter z_debug space 1, and it should show up. Mark is the general command to create nav attributes. And sometimes attributes are automatically made, like this connection right here, which says mobs only, because this is the wall which the mobs run through. Then over here, I won't select a square to show you that you don't need to. Open up the console again, type in mark, finale. And you see that debug is on, so it will say the word finale. And now that we have the two squares set up, the two squares being player start and finale, all we need to do is just save the nav mesh and test it out. Nav, save. We'll test this map out in the next section.